Hello everyone, welcome to the Design Cafe, and today I'm going to show you how to put an image into text. This technique that I'm going to use today is called the clipping mask. We're in Adobe Illustrator, and what you see here is an image of sand inside the text that reads sand. A few rules. I'm going to go over a few rules before we actually recreate this. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go to my artboard tool and I'm going to create a new artboard, and I'm going to show you everything that I did from scratch. So let's go ahead and get to it. First things first, in my first layer, which I'm going to title background, that's where I'm just going to have a flat image or a flat rectangle that's black. I could have chosen any color, but I just like black. All right, so now in my second layer, I'm just going to name this layer text. And the way I did that was I just double clicked the layer just in case you didn't know. All right, so now I'm just going to type sand, and you can't see it because the text is black and the background is black, but it's okay because I know it's there. All right, so I have the wrong font. Let's make that white for right now so we can see it, and I'm going to grab the font that I used. All right, so the rule for putting an image in your text, before you do it, you need to change the tracking and the kerning. That's one of my rules for myself, so that the image can be more readable, because you don't want to put a image in your text but people can't really tell what image is. So that's the best way to do it. You just change the tracking, which is changing the space between the letters, between each letter. Now there will be some kerning going on as well, which the difference between that, and I'll show you the difference between that. First, let's go over tracking. So tracking, right now it has a positive number. I'm gonna give it a negative number so that we can bring the text closer together. I could bring it so close that the text is actually merging together, which would be great for an image, but I do want it to have a little bit of space between each letter. So I'm going to bring it around -50. And now the A and the N are touching. So I'm just going to press the Alt. I'm going to select, use it with my type tool, select between the A and the N. And I'm going to hold down the Alt key. I'm going to press the right arrow slightly. 1, maybe 2. Now, if I wanted to, I can bring it all the way over like this. And that'd be kind of cool too. But I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. So I kind of like that. So that was kerning. Kerning is dealing with just the text between, the space between two letters, while tracking is more of the space between all the letters of that word instead of just those two. All right. So now, for the sake of saving time, well, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll just go ahead and type it. So sand between my toes. So what I was gonna do, I was just gonna copy the text from here and just bring it over there, but I wanted to show you something first. So once I select, I think that's the font. Yeah, this font, I'm gonna change that to rough, and it's already at a negative. I'm gonna put it at 0 so I can show you something. All right, and this is white. So the tracking is at 0. And I want you to notice something. You see the T and the W? There's a lot of space between there. That's where kerning really helps out a lot. You just press the Alt key and press the left and right arrow while holding down Alt or Option if you're on a Mac. And that made all the difference, and I had to do it for this one as well. So anyway, let's continue. Here, matter of fact, we're at the time that you've all been waiting for. actually applying the image to the text. So I'm just going to go to File, Place, and I'm just going to grab this sand texture, and I'm just going to place this. Let's undo that. Let's place it a little bit better. So if you just click, it'll be huge like you just seen. But if you click and drag, you can kind of control how big your image is when you bring it in. So now if I press Shift, Command, and then left bracket, I send it to the back. Or I could have just right click and go to, hold on, let's select it, right click, arrange, send to back. All right. Now I'm going to apply this image to this text. So the way I'm going to do that is, or I'm going to use the clipping mask, but what I wanted to express before I actually do it is I want you to imagine that the text is a window, and through the window that you're looking through, you can see the image. And this black will be like the wall that the window is on. So basically I say that so you can understand that you can just kind of shift this in the way that you want it. You can shift it and move it around so you can see the parts of the image that you want. Okay, so you can just place that in the right spot. But remember, the image needs to be behind the text, not in front of it. Now, once the image is behind the text and the text is selected and the image is selected at the same time, so I could click and drag and select both of them, or I can just select that, hold down the Shift key, and then select the text. Then I would just press Command 7, or I will go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. And that's it. Simple as that. Now, this technique can be applied to multiple things. Like, you don't have to, it's not just text. You can have a shape, let's say, you know what, I'm gonna make a sandcastle real quick. It's gonna be one of those generic sandcastles, one that's not all that, let's say, you know what, instead of doing it that way, I'm going to press Command C, Command F, 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 and then I'm just going to grab this one, and I'm just gonna select all of these at the same time, because remember there's several in there. Get my align tool, and I'm gonna space them like that. There we go. So now I have this little sandcastle, and I'm just gonna give myself a window, and I'm gonna use my shape builder tool. So this is some extra stuff. This isn't part of the original. The original tutorial is over at this point, but this is some extra stuff that I wanted to show you. So I'm gonna use the shape builder. Yeah, I'll use the shape builder last. I'm gonna actually use the pathfinder. So I'm gonna cut this shape. I took it out. I press Command X to cut it, which I'm gonna bring it back in that same space. But anyway, so now I have all these selected. I'm just gonna use my pathfinder panel, and I'm gonna select this first unite button, and all of these shapes just merge together. So now I'm gonna press Command F, because remember I pressed Command X to cut, and now I'm pressing Command F to paste it in place. And now I'm gonna select both this small shape and this shape at the same time. I could use the pathfinder and do that, or I can use my shape builder, hold down the Alt key, and then click it. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't like the way that looks, so I'm just not going to use that. I'm just going to keep this shape right here, and I'm going to use a tool. I'm going to grab my direct selection tool, and if I'm going too fast, just rewind later. All right, just rewind it back. All right, so now I use my direct selection tool to adjust the edges. I'm gonna go back and do that again. So I selected it, grabbed one of these circles, and now all the edges have been curved more like a, you know, sandcastle. All right, so now I'm going to apply this sand image to this sandcastle shape, and it's the same process. So all I have to do is, well, first I'm gonna copy this and copy and paste, and I'm gonna send this to the back, and now I'm just gonna line it up the way I want it to be, and I'm just gonna press Command 7, and now I have this here. But what if I have, now this is going to be some a more complex situation. Let me do that. So what if I have this shape and another shape that I want to be connected to just one image? All right, so I have this part of a sandcastle, and let's just say some random other shape. I don't know. Matter of fact, I'll just do a second sandcastle, or a second tower. So let's, matter of fact, let's get rid of this clipping mask. But how do you do that? Do you just double click and move it around and delete it? Well, you could delete it at this point, but then you have this empty shape and you can't really see it, and it just complicates things. So instead of doing that, you can just go to Object, Clipping Mask, Release. Now what this is going to do is going to give you your image back, and it still gives you an invisible shape. Just all you have to do is apply a fill or a stroke to it, and you can see it again. Now let's say if I had two of these and I wanted to do a clipping mask for both of them, and I selected both of them at the same time, and then I went to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. It only applied to one of them. Why? Because technically you can't do two clipping masks at the same time, but you really can. All right, so I'm gonna show you how. So let's say I have both of these selected, and they're regular shapes, but now I'm just gonna make them a compound path. So I select compound path, make. Now that they're a compound path, I'm just gonna select both of these, which they are now one, and then I'm going to select the image and press Command 7, and voila. And that the same goes with text. If you wanted to do that with a whole bunch of text, you would have to turn the text into a shape and then make the shape a compound path. And you know what, I'll just show you. Let me delete this. I'm going to also release this clipping mask, and I am going to change this font to refined, and we're going to apply this sand on both this text and this text. So how do we do that? First, I'm going to go to Type, Create Outlines. What that did was now my text is no longer text. Now it is an image. So now I have to select both of my images, or my shapes rather, and which is my text, and go to compound path, make. So now all of these are one, and then now I select my sand and my text, which is a shape, and press Command 7, and there you have it. And I think that'll be the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for appearing here at the Design Cafe, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment, and most of all, stay cool. Oh yeah.